Welcome back to What Arty Noobs for General Disturbance. This is the Grille. It's the Tier 5 German SPG. This one is located on the north spawn of Halluf, and it's under the command of Bunnynuts. Yes, she's playing again, and let's see how she gets on in an Arty game. Well, both teams are composed of bots, except for Bunnynuts. She's the only live player in this game. Now, as you know, Bunnynuts is Jazz's daughter, and she's actually located in New Zealand, yes, Kiwi land. And so sometimes there aren't enough players, and Wargaming, well, they make up the players with bots. Now, bots can be deadly, but this can be a great learning experience for Bunnynuts to actually learn how to play Arty. Apparently, Sir Rusty, was surprised that Bunnynuts had actually been playing Arty. He found out she'd actually been playing quite a few games, and she was getting the hang of it. Of course, it's going to take her a little while to learn all the positions and, of course, the characteristics of the Arty. The Grille has got a 15cm howitzer. It's capable of doing 480 alpha, 38mm pen, and it's only got a 6.7 meter burst radius between 6.5 and 10.5 seconds of stun. She's got a splash on that leopard. She tracked him as well. Now he's going to move off by the time she's actually got the next shell loaded. At least if he's clever, he will. If he's not, he might get the next hit. Rounds out. Oh my God, she killed him. He didn't move away. Oh, nice. Well, that's a learning lesson too. Sometimes tanks that are tracked don't move away from where they were. And of course, they end up getting hit again. Now, it looks like our spotter in this game is the A20 and the M7. The M7's up on the heights. And another leopard has been hit for 153. It's like an all-you-can-eat buffet, this sort of practice, where all of your opponents are bots, because you can just feast yourself on everything that's available. She's dialing in, let it settle. She didn't let it settle, but she did get a hit all the same for 187. Of course, the leopard doesn't have much in the way of armor, which makes it an easy hit. Now, one of the things she may have noticed is that there are enemy tanks down the far end of the valley, and they could move up this way, and if they do, they'll probably go near the cap. So for the moment, she's actually following her tanks and trying to keep close to them so that she can then benefit from the spotting they do. That leopard's still down near the rock in the center there. In fact, she's turned around. She's now aiming towards the T50, which is right down the south end of the map. And she can't see him, and she can't see the M7. Our teammates are not really spotting very well, but the leopard has suddenly come back into view. Well, we've got a bit of a problem, you see. He's now too close to us, and the trajectory of the shell, even if it's going straight, almost straight up and straight down, isn't good enough, because he'll actually hit the rock face in front of us. So she's having to change position just to get a better trajectory. That should be able to do it. And no, she's decided she's going to carry on. Now, the Grille was based on the hull of the Panzerachtung 3CT, which was also based on the hull of the Light Viz 38, which was, of course, a Czech tank. The hull was very good. In fact, it was a very easy vehicle to use, and which is why they used it for so many other vehicles, not just tanks, but also tank destroyers like the Marder, and of course the Grille as well. It's also because the Germans needed to some place to manufacture these tanks. She fired and pulled back, and the shell did not get close enough to kill that tank. Yes, the Germans wanted to mass manufacture tanks as much as they could because they were losing so many. And they liked the Czech design because it was so rugged, but they also knew that the Czech factory was much further away for Allied bombers to hit. So they thought it was actually quite a good place to be mass manufacturing vehicles. Of course, the Czech workers were helping the Allies to actually get rid of the plant by giving them coordinates showing where everything was. The Grille itself is quite a late war design. 1943 to 1944 was when they were being built, and they built 282 of them. A lot of them saw action in Russia, or in the Soviet Union, I should say. Okay, she's now aiming, going for the M7. Let it settle before you shoot. She fired and then pulls back, but she does get the kill. So that's her second kill of the game. Oh, we just saw a T-50 go down. The VK, I think, is their only medium tank. Okay, we're loaded, but she's got to let it settle before she shoots. She fires and pulls back immediately. Again, that's a sign of somebody who pulls back like that. It's usually because they want a better view of what they're hitting. But in fact, sometimes they pull back too far and you can't see what's actually being struck. Now she does, and she pulls back a little. When you pull back, though, you are upsetting the aim, because that means you'll have to dial in on that target all over again because you've upset the aim. So it's much better just to keep the aim on the target, watch where the shell hits the target, and then she's done it again, you see? It's much better to see where the shell goes than pull back. Of course, some people pull back because they don't like to see tanks getting hit by Arty. Yes, they actually have a psychological fear of being struck by Arty, and consequently, they don't want to see somebody being hit by Arty because it upsets them. She fired that one in, and you see, because she didn't settle the aim before she shot, she didn't get anywhere near the target. But the VK has gone down, and that's the end of the game. Here's the end of battle stats, and that was a second-class tanker for Bunnynuts in the Grille. She managed to get a Bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits. In fact, she got 8, and she got the high caliber for dealing the most damage in that game overall. Her win rate was 3,311, which is Super Unicum standard, so she's getting better. Let's have a look at team score. Well, yes, she was the only human in the game, so she's the only human showing. 1,211 hit points went to Bunnynuts, 2 enemy vehicles killed, and 557 base experience points in that game. So let's have a look at detail. Well, she fired 11 shots, got 4 direct hits, 1 penetrating shot. Now, I suspect that penetrating shot was the Leopard, who was actually standing completely still when she fired her second round in. She got 8 splashes and 1,211 hit points of damage, all of it at more than 300 meters. Just check and make sure, was the Leopard the one? Yes, it was. Yes, it went right in. She claimed all 580 hit points off that guy. She actually damaged 5 of the enemy, killed 2 of them, and did 75 hit points of stun assist off 7 stuns. On a premium count, she actually made 1,274 credits, mostly down to the fact she had to pay full price for the consumables, but it is worth paying for the consumables because it does make a huge difference to the reload time. And she also got 4,179 experience points out of that game as well, including 3,344 for completing a mission and events. So a very good game there by Bunnynuts. A couple of suggestions, I'd say. Fully dial in on your target before you shoot. That will make it more accurate. The other thing is, if a target is moving, pick a spot ahead of that tank's track, because obviously you'll know which direction it's going through, where on the ground it's going to go. Aim at the spot ahead of its track where it's going, and then fully dial in on that spot. And as soon as he's about to go through that spot, that's when you fire. And that will give you a very accurate shot directly onto the target, if you get the timing just right. But that's a very good attempt. I'd also say, try not to pull back every time you fire. because every time you do that, you're upsetting the aim and means you have to dial in on the same spot that you fired at before all over again. If you keep the aim on a target, then it will not have to dial in again, because all you're going to get is the machine shaking, the Arty shaking when the shell goes out. So you'll get a bit of reticule bloom, but it's very little compared to the amount you get if you move the vehicle altogether by looking away. So yes, keep your view on the target, keep your aim on the target, and that way when the next shell is loaded, it goes out straight away onto the target. Hope you enjoyed that game. If you did, please give this video a like, and thank you for watching.